The Great Debate Series. 25 greatest athletes since 2000.
We are just tearing through this list. It is Wednesday, so 5 more players off of our top 25 athletes since 2000 are going to get revealed today, Perloff. Let's go through the first 10 that have been revealed Monday and Tuesday. Number 25 on the list was Shaun White. 24, Alexander Ovechkin. 23 was Shohei Ohtani. Mike Trout is not on this list. Number 22, Floyd Mayweather. Number 21, Clayton Kershaw. Number 20, Diana Taurasi. 19, Rafael Nadal. 18, Aaron Rodgers. 17, Sidney Crosby. 16 is Tim Duncan. And now we get set to reveal our next 5.
Okay.
Should mention Tim Duncan, Shaquille O'Neal did not make this list.
Why do you have to keep reminding people,
I'm
Maggie?
just telling everybody, because I'm sure if you're in your
to...
car, you're probably like, oh, I wonder where Shaq is. So he's not on the list.
I don't want people to get mad before we even get to read 15 to 11. All right. Ready for number 15?
Are you ready for 15? Yes.
Number 15, Simone Biles.
Gymnast makes the list, Simone Biles. And rather than us tell you why, here's our pal Bob Costas.
Bolt and Phelps have to rank higher only because Biles only did it in one Olympics. But what she did was so magnificent that by acclamation, there's almost no disagreement that she is the greatest female gymnast of all time. She exceeded everybody. So, yeah, she belongs on the list, but she doesn't have as much volume.
Okay, she belongs on the list according to Bob Costas. He said it. She's the consensus greatest of all time female gymnast.
There were a couple words we probably didn't understand in there. Did he say acclamation? Anyway, Simone Biles. Okay, ready for number 14?
Let's go. Reveal it.
Here's the one I think people are going to argue about, because they always do. Kobe Bryant.
Kobe Bryant, the Hall of Famer, 20 years with the Lakers, of course. The first guard to ever play 20 seasons in the NBA. 5-time champion, a 1-time MVP, a 2-time finals MVP. He has 11 All-NBA first teams and 9 All-NBA defensive first teams. Played from 96-97 season to the 2015-2016 season. That is a lot of 2000s, and that is why Kobe Bryant makes the list.
Yeah, so that's ahead of Tim Duncan.
It is ahead of Tim Duncan.
That's 2 spots ahead of Tim Duncan. I think, it's funny, you mentioned Kobe on any list. Half the people want him higher, half the people want him lower. So we'll see. Okay, number 13. Let's get in the NFL. Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning makes the list. 18 seasons, started in 98, retired in 2015. Yes, Perloff, that second Super Bowl does count. He was the quarterback of the Broncos.
Definitely does not.
2-time Super Bowl champion. Of course, he's in the Hall of Fame. 5-time MVP, 7-time first-team All-Pro. Also got an NFL Comeback Player of the Year from one of his many neck surgeries. Peyton Manning, 13 on this list.
Also, we're not putting the comeback player of the year in this argument.
Well, I'm just giving. I'm trying to give a little of the whole scope of the person.
If that was the criteria, then Chad Pennington would be number 12 on this list.
He is, though.
Okay, number 12, Roger Federer.
Roger Federer is the second tennis player to make this list. Rafael Nadal was 19. So here comes Federer, 7 spots above. Federer, number 1 in singles for 310 weeks, 237 consecutive. He's got 20 majors. 8-time Wimbledon titles, that's a record. 5-time U.S. Open titles, that's a record. A 1-time French Open champion, but of course Rafael Nadal was busy winning all those. 6-time Aussie Open champ. How about this? In his career, he won 82% of his matches. That's nuts. Roger Federer is on this list at number 12.
Okay, number 11. Back to football. One of the younger people on our list, Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes, 2 spots above Peyton Manning on our list, despite the fact that he came into the league in 2017 and did not play that rookie season except for the last game. 2-time Super Bowl champ, 2-time Super Bowl MVP, 2-time MVP, 2-time first-team All-Pro, the youngest quarterback to start 3 straight AFC championship games, the fastest quarterback to 20,000 career passing yards, fastest quarterback to 100 career touchdowns. Mahomes above Peyton Manning is what I think is going to get people upset about, at least upset today, about our list. Thank you, Steve.
I think there's a couple other touch points in there, too.
Okay.
I think there are a lot of people that think Federer is still the greatest of the millennium. I think Djokovic has more majors, but I feel like Federer at his peak, and also the way Federer did it and all different surfaces, I think you could make that argument. I've heard that before. I also think Kobe at 14 is such an interesting one.
You think too high or too low? We talked about this.
I think it's perfect, to be honest. I think it's perfect.
We made the list.
But I think a lot of people are going to say, I mean, you could say Duncan's better than Kobe. You could say Duncan's worse than Kobe. You could say some of the guys that are above Kobe. There's one guy in particular that we haven't said yet that I don't want to give it away. But Kobe, I never hear a consistent take on where he fits in the pantheon of NBA players. Is he a top 10 all-time player? Is he a top 20 all-time player? So I feel like, you know what I mean? He's always polarizing.
Well, because there's also such a rabid Kobe fan base of people who it's Kobe over everything.
Yeah.
You know, these people are generally Los Angelinos.
Or young NBA players like Jason Tatum.
Or people who went to Lower Merion High School.
No, we don't. Philly turned on Kobe. They hate Kobe. They like Iverson. But the other thing, too, is obviously there's off-court stuff. And I think a big thing was he won 3 titles where he was with Shaq. And no one knows how much credit to give Shaq and how much credit to give Kobe.
Well, I mean, that's what's incredible about the duo, and that's what's dramatic about the breakup. I mean, to Shaq's credit, he did win the finals MVPs in those finals, but it's not that Kobe was bad in those playoffs by any stretch.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know. I feel like we got it wrong and we got it right. So anywhere you put Kobe is wrong. But the Mahomes, right. to me, Mahomes over Manning is not controversial at all. You just said it. 2 Super Bowl MVPs. And you know that we can speculate a little bit that it's going to continue. He's definitely going to end up higher on the list to me.
I think that Mahomes could, at the end of the day, almost end up at number 1 on this list. But obviously, he's going to have a lot of work to do. We've got some, obviously, incredible people at the top of the list. To me, Mahomes is being such the hands-down greatest quarterback, where even Joe Burrow is saying that Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. Even when Peyton Manning was at his absolute peak, there were the Brady people out there. There have been the Rodgers people out there. I mean, but Peyton is incredible. The 5 MVPs says it all. Yeah, but for a long time, it was rough for him in the playoffs, you know? Yeah,
he used to rack up a lot of wins in the AFC South, go 14-2, and then have a rude awakening in the playoffs. I've complained about that many times.
Well, listen, this is the Belichick and Brady effect.
He's 13 on the list. I mean, look at the people he's around. He's around Kobe and Federer. This is not a slight on Peyton Manning's career in any way to me. Do you think it's fair? Did we speculate that Mahomes is going to add a little more to this?
Of course. I mean, I think Mahomes is going to have a Jordan-like quality, and he's going to keep all these other quarterbacks from winning titles.
I'm so confident that's not going to happen because of the era of parity in the NFL. And by the way, Brady did win seven Super Bowls. Took him 20 years.
Yeah, it did.
It's not like
more than 20, 22.
The Jordan effect was Jordan, if you'll recall, won 6 of 8, and he didn't really play in 2 of them.
Yep.
So Jordan was a direct interference. I think Patrick Mahomes is in a much different NFL with a hard salary cap. It's going to be hard because of the structure to do it, but he's so brilliant. The other thing, too, he's a little more athletic than Peyton. Is that fair to say?
Mahomes, Peyton from the neck up is probably, along with Brady, like the best, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
In terms of intellect and everything. Mahomes, though, does things on the football field that I can't say we've never seen before, maybe the left-handed passes and stuff like that, but things that it's just, how do you stop it? It's impossible.
No, I think it's he met in the no-look pass. He's got a Steph Curry feel, too. He's like a wizard. And I think that counts for something. Also, he's got all the brain stuff that Manning and Brady have, and he's got an arm like Josh Allen and Justin Herbert. His arm is insane.
I know.
He's got a Brett Favre arm and a Tom Brady head.
But without the interceptions.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying Brett Favre arm and a Tom Brady head.
Yeah.
Like he can fit the ball into anywhere, and then be smart like a guy who doesn't have that kind of arm.
And he can run. I mean,
well, yeah,
he gets hurt sometimes.
maybe
he should not run as much as he does. But he can be elusive. It's not Michael Vick, but it's like he is the full total package. He's got everything.
Now here, let me ask you a tough question. If he didn't get hooked up with Andy Reid, would he be at 11 on this poll?
I've told you, I think that if Mahomes was in Buffalo, they've got 2 Super Bowls by now. I think wherever he goes, they're winning.
And Josh Allen goes to Kansas City with Andy Reid.
He's got 2 also. They should have flip-flopped.
Wait, I understand. So
I think Mahomes
that's 2
is
extra
good enough,
Super Bowls.
Mahomes is good enough to overcome, any, certain. Listen, do they have the most talented roster in the NFL? Absolutely not. The Kansas City Chiefs.
Right, they have Andy Reid.
Right, they started 3 rookies. Their defense stinks for most of the year and then somehow turns it on, basically in the playoffs. Like, they don't have the most talented roster besides Kelsey and Tyreek Hill, which are amazing. It's not like he's got weapon after weapon after weapon. He turns them into weapons.
No, Andy Reid does.
Or Andy Reid does. Okay.
Andy Reid turned
the combination.
Donovan McNabb, A.J. Feely, Coy Detmer. He turned the worst quarterbacks into major tradable assets. The dude is a quarterback. Has he ever had a bad quarterback here? Is there anyone who didn't play well with Andy Reid? Honestly, I think if Patrick Mahomes runs into Buffalo, I'm being dead serious here, he wins no Super Bowls. And you know why?
Why? Because nobody does?
Because nobody does.
Yeah,
the curse. I mean, he might be great, but if your team is cursed, your team is cursed. And if he goes to the Chargers, he's basically Justin Herbert.
I don't think so.
You know what I mean, though.
I know what you mean, but
there's something about the organization and the match with the player.
Yeah, but I'm not going to slight him for that. I'm not going to take away from any of his greatness there. Lucky him. Lucky Joe Montana got to be with Bill Walsh. Like, lucky them, know?
Yeah, I take it back, by the way. He's probably better than Herbert. But but it was a perfect, kind of like Brady and Belichick. Like, it was the right place at the right time for Patrick Mahomes. And if we started to denigrate the team players because of who was around them, then that wouldn't be fair.
Yeah, we could say the same thing about anyone. Like, it's not going to be a shock that the people on this list the team sport people were generally coached by good people.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue Peyton didn't have quite the same.
Tony Dungy's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but defensive coach. He had Tom Moore as an offensive coordinator who was great.
Peyton Manning didn't need an offensive coach. He was the offensive coach.
Yeah, he didn't need a system. He invented a new system.
Yeah.
Brady had Belichick, so I think it's hard to separate all those things. But I feel really good about Mahomes at 11. I'd like to hear someone argue otherwise.
I'll do that.
Samter, yes, you have a microphone. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to jump on the Brandon Stokely bandwagon here. He told us yesterday, he's like, we think trajectory, Mahomes will surpass Peyton, but he hasn't done enough. I mean, I understand what Patrick Mahomes has done is historic early in his career. Manning has 5 MVPs, 14 Pro Bowlers, 17 All-Pro teams. Like, I understand that what Mahomes is doing is incredible, but just from a number standpoint, he hasn't done what Peyton has done. And then you take into the fact that Peyton Manning basically invented an entire new style of offense where he just controls the entire line of scrimmage. Not audibles. He's making play calls. He's changed how the game of quarterback was perceived and played by a variety of coaches and quarterbacks moving forward. He's considered probably the smartest quarterback that's ever played, or at least, the most, football IQ quarterback that we've ever seen. I understand that Mahomes is on that trajectory, but what Peyton has done, what he did over the course of his career, he's just not there yet. Peyton is still if Mahomes retired right now, Peyton Manning would be higher on the all-time list than Mahomes.
Did you say 17 All-Pros? You said or 7?
7 All-Pros, 14 Pro Bowls.
Ryan Fitzpatrick's probably the smartest quarterback, but please go ahead.
Yes, how dare we?
Well, I'm talking about football.
I wonder, I hear what you're saying.
But here's the thing: even when Peyton was winning 5 MVPs. It was still a debate about Peyton versus Tom Brady and who was better at the time. He had equals. Right now, I don't think Mahomes has an equal.
Well, here's the difference, right?
Mahomes is the best.
If you look at the 2 best quarterbacks in NFL history, you're probably looking at Brady and Peyton. Maybe Peyton's 3 behind Montana, but you're looking at 2 of the 3 best quarterbacks ever. Mahomes, you're right. No one's questioning who's the best compared to Mahomes, but like Josh Allen's not a top 10 quarterback. Maybe Aaron Rodgers is a top 10 quarterback, but he's at the end of his career when Mahomes was basically getting in. So there's really no other quarterback that's there that was.
We're living in a golden age of quarterbacks. We got Burrow, we got Allen, we've got Jalen Hurts, we got Lamar's already won an MVP. He's living right now. It's not like it's Trent Dilfer over there, and he actually is in this great era of quarterbacks, and he's still the best. He's the best.
And those
hands down.
quarterbacks are, while they're good and they have high upside and potential, they're not in the greatest of all time conversation, not even close yet. Joe Burrow, I love the guy, but he's nowhere near that greatest of all time conversation.
That's why Mahomes is on the list, though, because those guys are good and could end up on this list, and Mahomes is whitewashing them right now.
Could, and maybe one day will. Peyton and Brady were going at it when they were the two best, maybe ever. And like as you look back in retrospect, and we can't do this with Mahomes because it's too early in his career, and the guys he's going against, it's too early in their career. So I just think Mahomes is a little bit too high because he's 6 years in. You got to give him another 5 or 6 years before we can get him this high.
I think this one's going to age the best out of all the ones we did.
I kind of disagree about Peyton being consensus 3. I think a lot of people have Elway, Marino. Like Peyton in 3 is controversial. I have seen Gil Brandt put out this list a million times. Does not agree that Peyton is 3.
No, not necessarily
He's a
either. I mean, I can see
postseason.
Marino, but
Brady
Marino
won,
never won
Montana
a Super
2.
Bowl.
Yeah, then you get into a grab bag, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can see Elway there at 3 over Peyton,
because
for sure.
It's hard to compare eras. When Elway was quarterback, it was much harder. I will say one thing, Maggie.
Yes.
There are a lot of guys with big numbers right now. So a lot of those guys, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, they're putting up gigantic numbers, but it's so much easier to pass nowadays.
Definitely.
So I don't know.
But they're good quarterbacks.
They're good quarterbacks, but
we
they're
know
not.
them when we see them.
They're not John Elway going up against Troy Aikman. I mean, like they need to do more.
You don't think Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes has a chance to be an all-time great
Total
rivalry?
chance, but Joe Burrow's in his 4th year? I don't know. I mean, yeah, and Josh Allen, I don't know if those guys are going to be in the same conversation. Like we had an era where it was Montana, Elway, Marino. Yeah. They're nowhere near that yet. Mahomes is. The other guys are not.
There.
You think Josh Allen's going to be in the Dan Marino conversation?
If he keeps playing like this and does it for another 10 years, definitely.
Well, I don't think Dan Marino is Dan Marino. I don't know. I think that's a long way away.
Michael in California is in the chat. Maggie and Pearl are going to get an earful from me when this list is done.
Bring it on.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Did we put Patrick Mahomes above Peyton Manning on this list? Yes, we did. Do we have Kobe Bryant above Tim Duncan on this list? Yes, we do. Anything else controversial from today? I think Simone Biles is pretty solid.
There's a name that, Perloff, you alluded to, a name that we haven't mentioned yet that's either off the list or is in the top 10 that we haven't mentioned, who I think is controversially ahead of Kobe if he is in the top 10.
Is he an outside shooter?
Potentially.
Does his name rhyme with Shmesh Murray?
It does, actually. It's very interesting. Wow, that's incredible.
Wait. Is it, you mean we put Seth Curry on the list?
We put Seth Curry on the list.
Shocking. I thought
Lady
it
of
was Joe Curry, but Seth.